Moto Guzzi V7 Sport. For years, it has been the best-selling Moto Guzzi, and for years, the Piaggio Group has pampered it, giving it continuous technical updates, even though its look seems always unchanged. And after the arrival of the 850 engine in 2021, this 2025 model is one of the most evident advancements, especially when we talk about it, the new V7 Sport. Let's start with it, the engine, the small block as they call it at Guzzi. The now well-known transverse V-twin, air-cooled with a cardan shaft drive, complies with the Euro 5 Plus standard. It gains a multi-map electronic throttle and introduces cruise control. The power reaches 67.9 HP and the torque 79 Nm. The credit goes to a thorough internal revision that includes new camshafts, and also the introduction of a throttle body that increases from 38 to a full 52 mm in diameter. There are also updates to the chassis, with the debut of a new 41 mm upside-down fork, adjustable in preload, and the welcome addition of a double front disc operated by a pair of Brembo radial monoblock calipers. But that's not all, because the new dedicated wheels weigh a total of 1 kilo and 8 less than those mounted on the standard V7. A nice advantage in terms of handling. The human-machine interface is completely new. The switches are new, the LCD instrumentation has been revised in graphics, and the V7 Sport also features a fuel level indicator. The 2025 VC7 is a more electronic Moto Guzzi, as it also comes with a 6-axis inertial platform that manages traction control and cornering ABS. On the Sport, there's also a new dedicated mapping that provides a quicker throttle response and minimal traction control levels. The price? €19. It's the most expensive of the V7s, but it remains one of the most affordable shaft-driven bikes on the market. And now let's go try it out. Okay. As usual in the evening, the new V7 Sport. Let's see what we find when we get on board the new Moto Guzzi Classic Roadster. First of all, the control panel changes everything here because we have new switches, an inverted fork with preload adjustment, and a fully digital display, including the fuel level indicator. By pressing the mode button on the left switch, you simply change the very basic service information. If we want, however, everything you need is there. So there's the mapping inserted, the configuration menu, the odometer, the trip, the driving time, the average speed, the average consumption, etc., etc. The new features include the button on the right that changes the mappings, which on this bike, having ride-by-wire, can be changed. So the 3 modes are road, rain, sport in this order, and they keep rotating. It's a bit curious that it goes from road to rain and then to sport, but this is what it offers us. Then, other things. Adjustable brake lever, clutch lever, not adjustable, but really very, very soft. New key, because we also changed the key. In short, let's say they have given a bit more youth, a bit more freshness to the QCV7 bike, and mirrors that on the Sport are fixed at the extreme. They are the handbars, those are a bit sportier. More or less, this is everything you can see. Let's say that the control panel has really been changed. A lot. Let's go test the bike. Test finished. Let's also grab a bit of water because we don't want to miss out on anything lately. Oh, I want to start with this thing. I start with the noise because we are talking about a motorcycle Euro 5 Plus air-cooled. And you know that Euro 5 Plus is very strict with noise levels, even mechanical noise, and I must say, as an engineer, I am truly impressed by the work done by the guys at Moto Guzzi, because as you can see, the air-cooled engine doesn't have small covers, large covers, or sound-absorbing materials that cover the engine to hide the noise, and yet they managed to make such a mechanically quiet engine. It's really no small feat, air-cooled, I remind you, with an exhaust sound that is even more convincing than in the past. So, from this point of view, full marks, well done, because it's really not a given, it's not easy at all. The riding position, Let's move on from the economy. Practically nothing has changed compared to the other V7 models, and the foot pegs are quite high. The leg angle is adequate, a little forward if anything, but it's not a tiring position. I spent a few hours in the saddle, and I must say, in the end, it's comfortable. The clutch is very soft, not adjustable, but super soft to the touch. As you can clearly see from my height of 1.71 meters with both feet on the ground. So it's a bike absolutely recommended for those who are looking for something low, to be able to touch the ground well, and above all, very easy to handle. I return to the engine because it's a strong point. It's really not just about the Euro 5 Plus standard, it's also about evolving. A project that, well, let me remind you, when did it start? The new V7 was 750, it's true, but it was a 48 horsepower engine. Now we are almost at 70-68. Almost exactly, with a really convincing torque curve, the arrival of control electronics, hence the ride-by-wire. So the electronic throttle and its mappings, and consequently a throttle body that has gone from 38 to 52. To give you a good idea, it really brought improvements. Obviously in Guzzi they didn't go looking for performance, they aimed to make it even smoother. The torque curve is even fuller. And they succeeded because at low revs, let's say from 3,000 to 5,000, this engine has really become a beautiful engine, very, very enjoyable, very present and very full in terms of torque delivery. And the throttle management has obviously become cleaner, more precise. The three mappings are quite distinct from each other: rain, road, sport, sport. I remind you that the specific one for the V7 Sport is not available on other Moto Guzzi models, which is the one that gives more presence and more body to the engine. There isn't a more aggressive response because the throttle response is always very controlled, very precise, and the transition from engine braking to throttle pickup is very well connected, but it's like, to give you an idea, as if the engine's displacement increased, thus providing even more power. So with the sport mapping, that's exactly what happens. The road is nice and smooth for when you're out and about, maybe in traffic. And when you have a moment where you're looking for more liveliness, more dynamism, that is a mapping that works very well. Moreover, I think they've also managed to adjust a bit of the on-off that might have been there with the cable throttle, but everything has benefited from it, practically. The entire drivetrain, because this bike doesn't have any transmission play with the cardan shaft. The gearbox, therefore, is very nice to use, very smooth. Thinking about the first gearboxes of the V7, it's an incredible step forward that has been made, and so I have to acknowledge the guys at Moto Guzzi for being tenacious and not giving up. Because with each new homologation, it seems this engine might struggle. Instead, they take the opportunity of each increasingly strict homologation to make the engine work even better. And just to mention one, I remind you that there are further evolutionary steps of this engine. If we think about the engine of the V85 TT, which is even more powerful and even has variable timing. Here, in my opinion, it's not necessary, but they have it in the works. It's not said that maybe one day, in a while, in a few years, it might arrive. However, in my opinion, it might somewhat alter the spirit of the V7, which aims to be a more peaceful bike to use. One of those bikes that makes me want to say it gives you a slow pace. A bike you use for the pleasure of riding, not because you need to seek performance, not because you need to chase high revs, but because you enjoy using it. And from 3,000 to 5,000, now this bike is truly enjoyable. The cycling part follows the evolution of this engine. The arrival of the fork and the double disc brake makes me smile a bit, but it really seems to me that it's the strong voice of the guys who will race in the trophy. You know that I also raced at Misano and also at Vallelunga with the V7 in the Fast Endurance Trophy. And perhaps the only slightly weak part of the V7, it was really the front end. The fork was a bit soft and the disc, well, it got quite tired. And you will remember that in the various tests I've done over the years, I've always pointed this out. Now a double disc arrives, that brakes very well. They were also clever here to provide a more incisive braking, but not excessive, and because the bike doesn't want it. So the bike is nice and soft, but when you pull, the braking power is there, and the fork also supports the greater, let's say, impact of a more substantial braking system. The fork as you can see here, is very underutilized. So it shows that there is a lot of room for improvement in terms of if you want to use it specifically for those guys who do track trophies. So there's a lot of spring margin to make the fork stiffer. Honestly, there's no need to stiffen anything because I find that it works well, starts well, and copies sufficiently well. And when you go to attack, the hydraulic control is adequate. The rear suspension also benefits entirely from it. I found the V7 a bit more comfortable, especially on sharp bumps, on roughness, where even the cardan transmission doesn't help. However, from this point of view, I didn't mind it at all. I found it more comfortable, more willing to follow to start on small bumps, even with the rear shock absorbers, which makes the operation more pleasant overall. So really, in short, a nice step forward. The V7 project is surprising because it's a bit like the Harley philosophy. Allow me to say, it seems like nothing ever changes. In reality, the project continues to evolve and improve in terms of both performance, but good performance. Allow me to say that is the search for torque and pull, which is what you look for when using this bike. Also because at the high revs, the engine somewhat fades, vibrations reach the foot pegs. It's not even pleasant to use, whereas using it from 3.5 is its sweet spot. There you only feel the pulsing of the engine, not the bad vibration, so to speak. And so it continues to evolve. And each time it takes a small step forward in terms of driving pleasure, power, and in this case, also the chassis, which has become a chassis, I wouldn't say more sporty because that's not the correct term for this type of bike, but certainly more dynamic. In short, considering the price, which is just under 11,000 euros, and considering what the competition offers, the V7 has many cards to play. It's best-selling classic, and probably not by chance because it has an iconic engine, it's appealing, it's easy, and the Guzzi brand certainly is. It's a brand that carries its weight. It's the only one with a shaft drive. In short, it has a combination of features that make it, if desired, very competitive. More or less here, since it's starting to rain seriously, that's all I noted about the Guzzi V7 in this brief test. We will definitely come back to this bike, hopefully. We have many things to do this year, but I'm interested in returning to it because it's an interesting bike, especially in this sport version. I'll be waiting for you in the comments below if we want to talk about the V7, about classic bikes or whatever you want. You know that with our timing, we practically always respond to everyone. I would say that's all. I'm going to take shelter from the rain and we'll see each other in the next video.